Welcome, Algebra 1. This is Chapter 4, What is a Function, Part 2. The essential question is, what can you figure out from the graph of a linear function? And let's begin. So this is going to be Part 2 of 3 of this series. The focus is going to be on graphing a linear pattern, and maybe a little of this, but this is actually going to be mostly Part 3 right here. So expect that video to come up later. Let's begin. So what I want to do is I want to just plot these points first. So I gave you a little chart. So let's plot the points. 0, 0 is going to be right here. And I'm not going to worry about labeling them. I just want to plot. 1, 1's here. 2, 2 is going to be here. 3, 3. 4, 4. And 6, 6. So all those points are going to be right up here. Now, what I want you to do is hopefully you've done this on graph paper or you're really neat with this. So make sure when you graph these, you're really neat. I want you to sketch a line that goes through all these points. So use a ruler, too, or some other kind of straight edge like your ID. What I'm going to do is draw a line that goes straight through this because I got a computer tool. So boom. There's my line. It goes through all those points. So since I have a line that goes through all those points, we do have a linear function. That's what we learned about last time. So I sketched a line through those points. Name and plot some other points in that line. So I want you to look at that line. And I want you to plot some other points that you think would be in that line. So looking at that line, I see, I can plot a point. Why not? Let's do this in a different color. Let's do it in green. I can plot a point right here. So that point, what plot is that? That point's going to be 5, 5. I can do another one and go up to this one. Do 0.99. So there's some other points that we can do on a line. So part of linear functions is we're going to see this pattern form like a linear shape, and I can be able to draw a line through that, and then you're kind of figuring out what other points could be on that line. So these are, I guess, here's the key neat things about linear function graphs. You can draw a line that's through all the points, and that's what we just did. And you can figure out the more of the points that are on the line. That's what I just said. You might hear the word extrapolating data, like you're taking the data you have and then kind of figuring out other data points that are beyond just what you have. And that's what we're doing. We're figuring out the extra points, saying, well, if these are all on the line, we follow that pattern. Well, this is 5, 5's on the line and 9, 9's on the line. So that's what we're going to be doing with linear functions. Okay, so what I want you to do is look at this graph here and sketch this. Sketch it really accurately on your notes. So make sure you have these coordinates down and your grids, hopefully using graph paper or something else, or you're just being very careful about this. So I have these points, and I drew a line through these points. This is a linear function, and these are of these 4 points, and this is a line that goes through those points. So what I want you to figure out another point on that line. So I'm going to figure out a point. Well, another easy one would be right here. The easiest ones are the ones that are on the grid marks. So what's that point going to be? It is going to be 7, 4. So another point on that line is 7, 4. Now, I have another question for you. What is y? So what's the y value when x equals 4? So x equals 4 happens right here. And what is the y value on the line when x equals 4? And that happens at this point right here. And sometimes it's not neat and easy, and it's easy to tell where the values are, because that's not on one of the grid marks. It's actually halfway in between. So if I look at that, it's halfway in between 2 and 3. So I'm going to say when x is 4, y is going to be about 2.5. So this point is going to be about 2.5, and I'm going to label that point 4 and 2.5. What about when x is 0? Well, x is 0 happens right here. And it looks like that point is right here. Well, where's that for y? Well, that looks like it's about between 0 and 1, so that's going to be 0.5, so 1/2. So the coordinates of this point right here are going to be 0 and 1/2, 0.5. Okay, so that's one way. I can find points that are not only at the grid marks, so they're easy to see. You can plot other points. So any point on the line, we can have fractions and decimals. That's okay, and it's good to be able to recognize that. So this last example here, I want you to draw this out, maybe pause the video. All right? Write this in your notes and have a nice sketch here. I want you to plot all these points. So that's what I'm going to do right here. Starting with -6, -7. So going down -6 and going to -7. -3 to and -5. So x is -3, y is -5. 0, -3. 3, -1. 6, +1, and 9, +3. So got a bunch of points here. So, and forms a linear equation. This is a linear function here, so I'm going to sketch a line really through that. And see that those points, the line goes through all those points. Now, part of this with functions is I want you to describe the pattern going on here, and I want you to use your own words. So I describe the pattern like as you're moving from point to point, like how much is it changing? Okay? And I'm going, let's say it's following this pattern here. This line's going up a set amount every time, right? And I'm looking at the pattern here. If I go from this point to this point right here, so I'm going from this distance all the way to this. Well, how is it moving? And I see that it's actually going up 2 steps, and it's going to the right how many steps? 3 steps. So it's going up 2 plus 2, and to the right plus 3. The next one is going up plus 2, and it's going to the right plus 3. So we got another plus 2 and plus 3. And if you look at that pattern, going from the next point, it's going up plus 2 again, and it's going over plus 3. So there's a pattern going on here. So one way to say this with the pattern is every time we go up 4, oops, let's erase that. Let's just redo all that. So I might say every time I go up 2, I go over 3. So every time I go up 2, I go over 3. So that's kind of the pattern going on here. You go up 2 and over 3, 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 up 2 and over 3. So that's the pattern. Now, using that pattern, if x is 12, what's y going to be? Well, I don't see 12s on here, right? But I do have 9 on here, and 12 will be beyond. But I know if I go the next point on my pattern here, so if 9 and 3 is the next point, my next point is going to go up 2 and over 3. So the x values are changing. Let's actually plot those points a little bit. So this point's going to be 6, 1, and this point's going to be 9, 3. So what's going on with this pattern, we're going, and if we're watching these labels here, so 3, negative 1, I'm going to label these 0, negative 3. Maybe I just got to backtrack with this, negative 3, negative 5. And this point here was negative 6, negative 7. So let's say this again differently before we think about, well, what's the y value going to be? I said we're going up 2 over 3. Notice how these change. The x value, as I'm going over to the right 3 every time, this goes from negative 6 to negative 3. That x value went up 3, positive 3, and I can label that on the table right here. I'm going plus 3 on the x's every time. Plus 3 on the x, plus 3. Plus 3 every time, plus 3. And on the y's, how much am I going? I moved up 2. Hey, look what the y's do. They go up 2 every time. Plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. And that's what they're doing on these points. The x value is going up 3. The y values are going up 2 every time. So I can use this information here. I got a pattern going on. So if x is 12, so let's plot that. Let's take this table here. Let's do x is 12. Well, that's like going 9 plus 3 is 12, right? So what's y got to be? I should follow the pattern on the same side. So I'm going to go plus 2 from the 3, and my next one in the pattern is going to be not 5. So when x is 12, y has to be 5, because I'm following a pattern. And that's the point of linear functions here. And one thing to get for this week. We have a pattern with this line. Okay? This linear function forms a pattern. The next point it's going up or going down a certain amount, and it's going over to the right a certain amount. So we have a pattern going on here. And that's it for this video.